भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 9, Text number 40. ललितगति विलास वल्गुहासा ललितगति विलास वल्गुहासा प्रणया निरीक्षण कल्पितोरुमानः कृतमनुकृतावत्य उन्मदान्धः कृतमनुकृत्यवत्य उन्मदान्धः प्रकृतिं मगनकिलयस्य गोपवत्वः ललितगति विलास वल्गुहासा प्रणया निरीक्षण कल्पितोरुमानः कृतमनुकृतावत्य उन्मदान्धः प्रकृतिं मगनकिलयस्य गोपवद्भः ललितगति विलास वल्गुहासा प्रणया निरीक्षण कल्पितोरुमानः कृतमनुकृतवत्य उन्मदान्धः प्रकृतिं मगनकिलयस्य गोपवद्भः. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Shri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Brajadham, the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movement of the Lord after his disappearance from the rasa dance. Please repeat the translation. Let my mind be fixed upon Lord Shri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Brajadham, the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the rasa dance. Purport. By intense ecstasy in loving service, the damsels of Brajbhumi attained qualitative oneness with the Lord by changing with him on an equal level, embracing him in nuptial love, smiling at him in joke, and looking at him with a loving attitude. The relation of the Lord with Arjuna is undoubtedly praiseworthy for devotees like Bhishma, but the relation of the gopis with the Lord is still more praiseworthy because of their still more purified loving service. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna was fortunate enough to have the fraternal service of the Lord, a chariot driver. But the Lord did not award Arjuna with equal strength. The gopis, however, practically became one with the Lord by attainment of equal footing with the Lord. Bhishma's aspiration to remember the gopis is a prayer to have their mercy also at the last stage of his life. The Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified. And therefore, Bhishma Deva has not only glorified the acts of Arjuna, his immediate object of attraction, but has also remembered the gopis, who were endowed with unrivaled opportunities by rendering loving service to the Lord. The gopis' equality with the Lord should never be misunderstood to be like the Sayujya liberation of the impersonalist. The equality is one of perfect ecstasy, where the differential conception is completely eradicated, for the interest of the lover and the beloved become identical. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Namaham Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Bhasha Tadeshadarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So we are reading prayers by Bhishma Dev. So this is a very unique prayer. So far we saw that Bhishma Dev has been glorifying Krishna and Arjuna is remembering Krishna and Arjuna on the battlefield in Veeras. But suddenly it's changing. So now he is remembering the gopis. So you might be wondering, like, what is the connection? Like, suddenly from the battlefield, from the Veeras, how he came into this Madhuriras, the gopis. So here Bhishma Deva is saying, Lalita Gati Vilasa Valgu Asa Pranaya Narikshana Kalpitorumanaha. So he's remembering that how the Krishna, he attracts the gopis. How he attracts the gopis? Lalita Gati, by his very unique movement, attractive movement. The way Krishna walks, that itself attracts the gopis. So Krishna doesn't stand straight, he's standing only. The devotees get attracted by his Tribhangi form. When Krishna walk also, that walking attracts devotees. So gopis are getting attracted by Lalita Gati. And then Vilasa Valguhasa. Valguhasa means smiling. So Krishna's smile is also very unique, very charming, very attractive. So gopis are getting attracted by Krishna's walking, Lalita Gati, Valguhasa, by smiling, and also Pranaya Nirikshana. Nirikshana means looking upon. So when Krishna looks upon the gopis, and what kind of look it is? It is Pranaya Nirikshana. Very lovingly he is looking upon the gopis, and they're getting attracted by that. So how the gopis are getting attracted by Krishna? By his walk, by his smiling, by his looking upon them, right? And that has been glorified. Kalpito Rurmanaha. And also what these gopis are doing is Krat Manu Kratvatya Unmadandaha. Krat Manu Kratvatya means act of copying the movements. So we all know that Krishna disappeared from the Rasa Leela, and then they have been feeling the separation from Krishna. So in that separation, they are actually copying Krishna's act. Some gopis, she is acting like I lifted the Govardhan hill. Another gopi, she is dancing, saying that I'll kill this Kaliya. So that is how, in that separation, in that ecstasy, because they became unmadandaha, andaha. They're gone mad in ecstasy. They're acting like a madman, mad person. What they're doing externally, they're not conscious. They're so much absorbed in Krishna, they started imitating Krishna's act. prakriti magan kilyash gopavadvaha. So these are the characteristic that these gopis, they have gone through all these ecstasies and they're attracted. So Bhishma Deva here, he is remembering this and is praying, let my mind be fixed upon Lord Sri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of the gopis. So Prabhupada is starting the purport by explaining that how, by intense ecstasy in loving service, the damsels of Braj Bhumi attained qualitative oneness with the Lord by dancing with him on equal level. So gopis, bhakti, their devotion, their love has been glorified even by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, the famous verse, Ramya Kachidupashna Brajvadur Varge Naya Kalpitaha. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, there's this no better method of worship than the system invented by the gopis. Gopis are the best devotees. So their invention of worshipping Krishna is to always remain conscious of Krishna without any profit. And that is the super excellence of the gopis. They never expected anything in return. So that is there's love, the devotion for Krishna. To the extent that gopis never even bothered to understand who this Krishna is. They never philosophically inquired whether Krishna is really God, that is why we should worship him. No, they're simple village girls. They did not even care whether Krishna is God or he is powerful or who he is. They just spontaneously love Krishna. Right? They say that is why in Vrindavan, especially the gopis, they love Krishna not because Krishna is God, but they love God because God is Krishna. So they don't care who Krishna is, they just spontaneously love Krishna. In fact, the same thing can be seen in the Mother Yashoda also. She never sees Krishna as God. She does not understand. She is always covered by the Yog Maya Shakti. Krishna many times demonstrated his godhood, even by lifting Govardhan hill. And to Yashoda Mai, Krishna showed the universal form on the Brahmand Ghat. Despite all of those super excellence demonstration of Krishna, super excellent demonstration, Yashoda Mai never accept Krishna as God. So their love is so intense where the Krishna's supremacy is also denied. So the relationship is that intimate. Yashodamai, it has been explained when many times some other gopis comes and complain to Yashodamai. It looks like your son is God or something very powerful, someone very powerful. So Yashodamai never want to accept Krishna as God. Why? Acharya explained, Yashodamai's mood is, if I accept Krishna as God, then God is everybody's property. Then I have to share. But Krishna is mine. I cannot share Krishna with anyone. So that is the mood of these great devotees. So much they are absorbed in serving Krishna. Right. So here this gopis love has been glorified and Bhishma Deva is remembering that how the gopis are so much absorbed and there's no consideration. And Prabhupada explains this is what are the symptoms of the pure love. In the actual pure love, there's no consideration of any external situations. Even this kind of love can be seen even in this material world. Like when somebody, one young boy and young girl, they fall in love. There are many cases like that, wherein there's no consideration of that if that person is rich or not, he's educated or not, or how does he look and all that. Many cases. Like in India sometime, some all these Westerners lady, like some foreigners, they go and somehow they fall in love with some rickshaw wala or someone like that. They don't consider that he is an important person, rich person, educated person. The nature of love is like that. There's no consideration of externals. So the gopis are like that. They are loving Krishna. They don't care who Krishna is, he's God or not. They're trained, they're educated, and they say, oh, now we should love Krishna. No, that is not the consideration. Prabhupada writes here. There is no consideration that Krishna was God. Therefore, they wanted to dance with him. No. They are not dancing with Krishna because Krishna is God. Krishna wanted to dance with them, therefore they came to Krishna. That is the only consideration. Krishna had the desire to dance with us, we'll go. Okay. So Krishna is now calling by the vibration of his flute at the dead of night. No other consideration. They even rejected their family, their relations, and all of that. So this is complete absorption. Right. So somehow or other, remaining always engrossed in the thought of Krishna is the essence of devotional service. That's the goal. Mai eva manadasva, mai buddhim niveshaya. How our mind can be always absorbed in Krishna. And gopis are the epitome of that consciousness. For them, it is very naturally, very spontaneously. So, in one of the verse, in the 10th canto, the gopis' absorption has been described like this. Ya dohane avhanane matno balepa prenkhe nakhan kanarba uditokshanamārjanādau गायन्ति चैनम् अनुरक्तधियो श्रुकण्ठयो धन्या व्रजस्त्रिया उरुक्रमाचित्तयानः. So how these gopis, they're constantly absorbed in Krishna, thinking of Krishna. The ladies of Braja are the most fortunate of women because with their minds fully attached to Krishna and their throats always choked with tears, they constantly sing about him while milking the cows, winnowing grain, churning butter, gathering cow dung for fuel, riding on swings, taking care of their crying babies, sprinkling the ground with water, cleaning their houses, and so on. By their exalted Krishna consciousness, they automatically acquire all desirable things. So this is what is desired. Whatever we are doing, we should be able to remember Krishna. What is the equivalent verse in the Bhagavad Gita? Krishna talks, famous verse. Anybody? Any other? Krishna says, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. Sarveshu kaleshu, in all situations, while even yuddhacha, when you are fighting your battle, means you are engaged in so many other things, worldly things, your household duties and so many other things. But mam anusmara. For gopis, it was very, very spontaneous, very natural, right? They're constantly absorbed, thinking of Krishna, seeing Krishna, remembering Krishna's form. And in fact, in one place, the gopis, they start to criticize Brahma. Why they are criticizing Brahma? They're saying that, Brahma, you have given us only two eyes. Not sufficient to see Krishna. Two eyes. We want thousands of eyes so that we can see Krishna so much. And on top of that, in the two eyes, you are given the eyelids. Brahma, you are not intelligent. You are supposed to be creator, intelligent creator. But there is a fallacy, there is a fault in your creation. Why you are given these two eyelids? Because these eyelids, they keep closing in between. And momentarily when they close, that impair the vision of Krishna, of gopis. And the gopis says that one moment when we are not able to see Krishna, that moment seems to be like a yuga for us. Such a long time. What kind of creation, Brahma, you are done? Right? So that is the eagerness of gopis to see Krishna. When we hear these pastimes, we should pray and we should aspire, we should try to develop that desire. That we cannot definitely have that desire like the gopis. They're very exalted. But if an iota of that eagerness to see Krishna comes, then we should consider life is successful. Krishna has appeared in front of our eyes in the form of deities, and especially in Kali Yuga, Krishna descended in the form of holy name. So if we have that tinge of that, the iota of that eagerness the gopi has, that if I can chant Krishna's name with great attention, I can see the form of the Lord. It's like drinking the nectar, the beauty of Krishna, that eagerness that we can learn from the gopis. Right. So their love, their devotion is very, very spontaneous. And then, especially this rasa dance, which has been misunderstood, think that how the young girls and this young boy Krishna dancing with gopis amid of the night, you know, some lusty affairs. It may look like some lusty affair. So Prabhupada explains Krishna's Yogmaya orchestrated his rasa dance and not the Mahamaya that induces dances between boys and girls on the basis of material lust, which is like iron. The gopis went to Krishna with the transcendental desire to satisfy Krishna, and the spiritual love between them is like gold. So both the things look similar. Some young boys and girls are dancing in this world. Krishna is also dancing with the young girls. So both, like sometimes we see the two metals. This is also metal, this is also metal. But one is iron, one is gold. So the so-called loving affairs in this material world is compared with the iron. But this loving affairs between Krishna and the gopis, they are like the gold, pure. Right? In fact, this episode comes in uh, Bhagavatam in the 10th canto only, when one time when Uddhava goes to Vrindavan and visit the gopis, and then Uddhava remains in Vrindavan several months. And then he is basically talking to the devotees and reminding the Brajvasis about Krishna's, various pastimes and what Krishna is doing in Dwarka and all of that. So he came to pacify and console all the Brajvasis, especially the gopis, those who are feeling separation and they're crying in separation and all that. But seeing that how the gopis were so absorbed in Krishna, Uddhava was supremely pleased. He was amazed to see that they're simple village girls. Now, this Uddhava was an important person. He was the exalted minister in Dwarka and very exalted devotee also. One of the very personal associate, dear associate of Krishna. Right. But by seeing gopis' devotion, he started to develop that spiritual urge to worship the gopis. So nobody can have the devotion and bhakti like these gopis. Right. Externally, they're like the ordinary village cowherd women. And they're not very intelligent, very educated. But their devotion is so intense that Uddhava was thinking my devotion in front of their devotion is nothing. I should worship them. He started developing the desire to worship the gopis. And then he sings the song, which is famously glorified in the Bhagavatam as Uddhava Gita, Uddhava song, in the 10th canto, 47th chapter. So some of the verses, just one or two verses, very important to note that how, what is the mood of Uddhavji and how is glorifying Gopi's devotion, Gopi's bhakti. So he's saying this verse. Eta param dhanubrato babigopavadvo govind eva nigilatma niruddha bhavaha vanchanti yad bhavabhiyo muniyo vayam cha kim brahma janmabhiranant katha rasasya. So what he's saying is, among all the persons on earth, these cowherd women alone have actually perfected their embodied lives. And what is their perfection? They have achieved the perfection of unalloyed love for Lord Govinda. What is this love? Their pure love is hankered after by those who fear material existence, by great sages, and by ourselves as well. Uddhava is thinking, if I can have this kind of love, he's hankering after that love. Gopis only have that love. For one who had tasted the narrations of infinite Lord, what is the use of taking birth as a high class Brahmana or even as Lord Brahma himself? So there's no point of becoming Brahma. becoming gopi and having this kind of devotion and attraction is much better than becoming Brahma. So that is his conclusion. And also another beautiful verse he says, he's praying. What is praying? After seeing he was so inspired by Gopi's devotion, Gopi's bhakti, and now finally, what is his desire? What is his aspiration? So what is singing this? Asambho charanaren ujashamaham shyam vrindavane kim abhigulma लतौषधीनां याधुस्तायां सजन्मार्याभतं जहित्वा भेजोर्मुकुन्दो भेजोर्मुकुन्दपदवीं श्रुतिभिर्विमग्र्याम्. So what is saying? He thought, if I can have this kind of devotion, he started thinking, he started desiring. But then he realized that I cannot have this kind of devotion. So my aspiration also should be very practical. So what is aspiring now? The gopis of Vrindavan have given up the association of their husbands, sons, and other family members, who are very difficult to give up, and they have forsaken the path of chastity to take shelter of the Lord, lotus feet of Mukunda, Krishna, which one should search for by Vedic knowledge. Oh, let me be fortunate enough to be one of the bushes, creepers, or herbs in Vrindavan, because the gopis trample them and bless them with the dust of their lotus feet. So first he thought, if I can also have the devotion like the gopis. But then soon he realized I cannot have. It's very, very exalted. But what can I have is the dust of their lotus feet. So he's praying that I can become a bush, a creeper in the Vrindavan, where the gopis will walk, they trample, and then it will touch the dust of the lotus feet. That is what is the aspiration of Uddhavji. Is so inspired and impressed by the devotion of the gopis. So among all the devotees, those who worship Krishna are the best. There are so many devotees, but among all the devotees, those who worship Krishna, they are the best. Because Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shat Aishwarya Purnam. Right? And among those devotees, Krishna's immediate assistants in his pastimes are more intimate. Krishna devotees are the best among all the devotees. But among Krishna's devotees, those who are his immediate assistants, because their loyalty in following him, they're even more exalted. And among these intimate associates, Uddhava is the best. Uddhava is one of the intimate associate. Right? Krishna says, Krishna himself said that among the devotees I am Uddhava. Uddhava is not less than myself. That is Krishna's statement. Uddhava's position is very, very exalted. But now Uddhava, however, he is desiring the dust and the service attitude of the gopis and had the greatest regard for them. He did not give such regard even to the queens of Krishna. And among all the gopis, Srimati Radharani, he is the highest. So Bhishma Deva is remembering all of this. Such an exalted position of the gopis. Right? So Bhishma Deva at the point of his death is relishing. And this Prabhupada writes in the lecture, these are to be learned unless we are practiced to think of Krishna always. How at the time of death we can think of him? So we should learn from the gopis how to always remember Krishna. Otherwise, how can we think of Krishna at the time of death? Ante Narayana Smritihi. That Smriti won't come. Ante Kaleche Mavayama Smaran won't come. Therefore, this Kulashekar, King Kulashekar, he says this famous prayer, Krishna Tvadiya Padabanga Panjarantam Adveva Me Vishadumanasa Rajahamsa Prana Prayana Samaye Gabhavat Pittai Kantovarodhana Vidau Smaranam Kudaste. So what is praying? Then, my dear Lord, when I'm in a healthy state, let me die now thinking of you. Because the time of death, what will happen? Prana Prayana Samaye Kapabhat Pittai, because of this Kapabat, all this disarrangement of all of this, Kantavarodhane, my throat will be choked. How would I chant your name at the time of death? When I'm in a healthy state, my mind is also good, healthy. That time only I should leave the body, remembering and chanting your holy name. Right? Bhishma Deva is actually remembering this gopis here. Another point Prabhupada is writing here. Why is remembering? So it says Bhishma's aspiration to remember the gopis is a prayer to have their mercy also at the last stage of his life. Bhishma Deva is in Veer Ras only, but still is remembering the gopis. Why is remembering the gopis? He is not aspiring that I can also have the devotion like the gopis. But what his aspiration is, gopis are the greatest devotees, and if I can have their mercy at the last stage of his life, the Lord is satisfied more when his pure devotees are glorified. So this is an important point here that we should always remember. Vishmadev is praying, glorifying the gopis, because Lord is glorified more when we glorify the devotees of the Lord. And Bhishmadev is aspiring that if I can get some mercy on the gopis by glorifying them. So that is his aspiration. As Krishna says in the Adi Puran, Ye me bhakta jana bhartha na me bhaktastate janaha mad bhakta nam tache bhaktas te me bhaktatama madaha. Ye me bhakta jana bhartha na me bhaktas te janaha. Those who are not my devotees, actually, those who call themselves as devotees. But mad bhakta nam chaye bhaktas. Those who are the devotees of my devotees, te me bhaktatama madaha. So Lord Krishna told Arjuna, those who are my direct devotees are actually not my devotees. But those who are devotees of my servant are factually my devotees. So this is the mood of the devotees. Gopi Bhatur, Padkamalayor, Das, 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 Anudas. That is the aspiration of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Glorify the devotees more than glorifying Krishna. When we glorify the devotees, then Krishna becomes pleased. By the mercy of the devotees, we can attain the mercy of Krishna. Yasha prasadan, Bhagavad prasado, Yasha aprasadan, nagati kudopi. Right. So this is another point here. So by the mercy of devotees only, when we glorify the devotees, when they are pleased, Krishna is pleased. By their mercy only, we can get Krishna. Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakati ache. Ami to kangala, Krishna Krishna boli, dai tave paje paje. So Krishna is your property, O Vaishnava Thakur. Vaishnava Thakur, dayare sagar, edase karuna gauri. So this is what is the aspiration devotee. Should glorify the devotees. We should aspire their blessings, serving the Vaishnavas. So that is what the mood of Vishmadeva here is, remembering this great devotees, gopis, aspiring their mercy at the last stage of his life. And also another important point that Prabhupada is making here, very important to understand this. The gopis' equality with the Lord should never be misunderstood to be like the Sayuja liberation of the impersonalist. The equality is one of perfect ecstasy, where the differential conception is completely eradicated for the interest of the lover and the beloved become identical. So here in this purport, Prabhupada is writing that gopis became one with Krishna. Now Prabhupada also clarifying this oneness should not be misunderstood as the Mayavadi's oneness, like the Sayuja Mukti, where they merged into the Brahman and became one and then lost their identity. It's not that oneness. Devotees also believe in oneness. The Mayavadis also say the oneness. Sometimes concept is the same, term is the same, but understanding is different. So the Mayavadi's oneness is merging into Brahman and then vanishing their own individuality. But devotees' oneness is different. Prabhupada is explaining here. The devotees' oneness is this. Oneness is actually based on oneness of interest. That you harmonize with Krishna's interest. What is Krishna's interest? I don't know what is Krishna's interest. Then go to the Guru, the bona fide representative of Krishna. So what is my Guru's interest? And if that becomes my interest, then we are one with Krishna. So this oneness is oneness of interest. A pure devotee has no interest but to act on behalf of the Supreme Lord. When one has even a tinge of personal interest, his devotion is mixed in the three modes of material nature. So this is the understanding of oneness, becoming one with the interest of the Lord, right? And that is what is the Brajavasis. And what is this the Rasa Leela? What it teaches us. Actually, this is the message of this Rasa dance. So you see, they're perfect in sync dancing. And in that context, it said that they became one with Krishna. Many times, like when we sing the kirtan for the Lord, and then if one person in the kirtan is off, he's not singing in the sync, he's singing in his own tune. And it creates disturbance to everyone, especially to the singer and to everyone. The whole mood of kirtan is disrupted, right? So it is important to be in sync. And sometimes devotees are dancing together in a group. So some particular step, they should dance in sync. Somebody is going off, then it creates like sometimes the devotee might get irritated. Why is not like in sync? Why is not singing in sync? But the gopis epitomizes this being in sync. They're perfectly dancing with Krishna. They're not rehearsed with Krishna. That okay, in the daytime, let us just do some rehearsal, learn the steps, and now actual performance in the night. Raja dance. Okay, now in the sync. No. So gopis are very exalted devotees, and actually there is a deeper meaning to this. Gopis are dancing in sync means they are one with Krishna in terms of one with Krishna's interest. And that is what the Rasa dance teaches us. And gopis, they are exalted, they are epitomizing this being one in interest with Krishna. And devotees should aspire. And Bhishma Dev is aspiring here the blessings of gopis by remembering their devotion. So devotees should learn that how I can develop the interest. My interest should be interest of Krishna. There's no other interest than Krishna, and that is Brajavasis. They move as per Krishna's will. One of the meaning of Braja is to move. So the Brajavasis, they actually move as per the will of Krishna. Right. Prabhupada also writes in the song in Jaladuta. What he writes? Kastera Putli. Nachao, nachao, Prabhu, nachao se mate. That is the aspiration of a devotee. That Lord, make me dance the way you want me to dance. That is the highest level of devotion. Where there's no other interest, there's no other step, but interest of the Lord. And we harmonize with that. Nachao, nachao se mate. Right? And this has been demonstrated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. In Sikshastakam, what he sings, what he prays, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrate in the prayer in Sikshastakam is Aslishya vapadardam pinastumam adarshna marma hatam karotu va yata tata va vidadatu lampato mat prananatas sa eva naparaha. So what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is demonstrating here is saying, I know no one but Krishna is my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. Adarshana marma hatam karotuva. If you don't give me darshan, you don't give me whatever I want, but still, he is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally. So this is unconditional love. Whether Krishna grant me this, he give me darshan, or he favors me in this way, that way, no interest. Whatever Krishna want, I just want to do that. And I'm just happy and satisfied with that. So this is the understanding of oneness. So Bhishma Deva is remembering here that how Krishna attracted the gopis. Gopis' love, gopis' devotion is being glorified. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu glorifies Ramya Kachit Upasana Brajvadhu. Uddhava is glorifying their love, their devotion is compared to the gold. And what we see in this material world is the iron. So this Uddhava is glorifying and he's aspiring But what is aspiring is, it is even more advanced. Uddhava is not aspiring that I can have the love like gopis. I cannot have. But I can become a bush, a creeper, a grass in the Vrindavan where gopis trample. And if I get the dust of their lotus feet, that is even higher aspiration. Gopi Bharatur, Padagamalaya or Das, Das, Dasanudas. I'm not trying to become one of the top Das, but I'm trying to become the humble servant of the devotees. So this is what is the aspiration of Uddhavji. He is glorifying, he is aspiring. And another point, Prabhupada is saying that satisfying and glorifying the pure devotees pleases Krishna. And Krishna also confirms that. We discussed about that. And then another third point we discussed was being one with Krishna, which has been even demonstrated by the gopis, Machadana Mahamprabhu, how you can be one in interest with Krishna. So these are some of the points from this purport. Majorly we discussed the 3 points. Let me pause here and see if anybody has any quick question or any comment. Anybody wants to add something, some example from the Bhagavatam or any other point or any clarification.
Here, when Bhishma Devi is switching his mood to gopis, so it appears that he's enjoying the mood of Veer Rasa, but now he's enjoying the mood of he want to be in.
Yeah, so here his rasa is not changing. Bhishma Deva though changing suddenly, talking about gopis. Prabhupada clarifies that he is not aspiring to be like gopis, but is aspiring their mercy at the last stage of life. Which you understand, gopis are very, very exalted devotees. So the last stage of life, if I can have their mercy by remembering them, by glorifying them, that's the understanding.